This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is September 19th, 2022. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Swings Are Kings, Lightning 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. All right, so remind me in about 40 minutes to show you some of the new stuff that's coming on Object Trader, because I'll be happy to show you that. We're getting close. We're getting really, really close. All right, bear with me just a second. I'll show you some charts. Should be able to see a chart coming up on your screen. Now, real quick before we get started, because there's new people also, okay? Want to go over just real quick what lightning actually is. Lightning is just simply an indicator that will let you see the swings on your chart. And when I say swings are king, that's it. I mean, you know, swings are king. That's all there is to it. If they're swinging in the direction and you're going against them, you're liable to get bit. Okay. So you can scalp against the trend, but just be careful, you know, when you do that, because, you know, to give an example here, I see a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, but I don't see this high being taken out. So this is still a downtrend, right? So far anyway. Okay, so that's what you got to look at. You got to see what's going on. It's sideways right now, right? Okay, so we use an indicator for everybody that's in here that already knows this, but there's a lot of people that don't. We use an indicator called lightning, and lightning was developed many years ago, as far as that goes, part of the Viper script that we offer to all of our people that come in with us, and even on a trial as far as that goes. But Viper Lightning, we actually changed the name to Object Trader OT Lightning, I think is what it's called in the deal, Object Trader Lightning. Okay, so if you go into your indicators, if you use our template, now keep in mind this template's different than what you use, so you're going to have a lot more indicators on your chart. This is my webinar template. Okay, I like to just use a webinar, nice black background, you know, nice shiny indicators so that I can see on a chart what's going on. Because if you don't, what'll happen is you're going to miss the trees for the forest. You're going to actually see the entire forest and you go, oh my gosh, you know, what is this doing? But you've got to realize that you can see the individual trees if you'll just sharpen your focus on them instead of being up, you know, in a helicopter looking down at an entire forest. Okay, because what we want to do is we want to get a bird's eye view of what's going on without seeing all the mess. Okay, so we use tools called Lightning One. Okay, Lightning One is just simply an indicator that's going to draw whatever size chart you use. It's going to draw lightning based on one swing strength. It's just a zigzag indicator is all it is. Okay, and the way you get it on your chart is you simply use the hot key, and in this particular case, that's the Alt key. And you just simply hold down your Alt key and left click your mouse and it will draw Lightning 1. Okay. Now after this one, there's one that we call Lightning 2. Now Lightning 2 is simply one step heavier as far as that goes, that does 2 swing strengths. So it's going to at least look at 2 bars up, you know, 2 bar down type of a scenario, but it still has to zigzag. The most important thing about Lightning is that it has to zigzag, because notice on Lightning 4 over here, for instance, see how that's just a monster move down? Well, that's because this is a large indicator right here. This is Lightning 4. Okay, now I've talked about Lightning 1 and Lightning 2, and they're just simply real quick movements of 4 range bars since we trade 4 ranges. Now, if you change that to a Renko bar or something, you're going to want to go in here and change the actual size of the bar and everything in this to whatever bar you use. Okay, but just for sake of time and everything, and also the fact that I use the same template every day of my life, I use 4 range, 2 swing strength, and I use power index 2. And see these little indexes that draw up here? That's lightning 1, that's lightning 2, that's lightning 3, and that's lightning 4. Okay, and they're drawing simply as these come to fruition, like in other words, a swing is made on the particular lightning that you're using, it will change the box up here also. Now we are having a little bit of issue with a few people. Let me know if you're one of those few people that that you run into this. If you occasionally lose lightning 3, just let me know on that, because we're trying to fix that, but we can't duplicate it. There's no error in the log. There's no anything that's telling us why it's doing it. So that's a tough one. Okay, but because it's the same indicator, we're just putting the same indicator on the chart, but with different settings. Okay, so that's a weird one. We're trying to figure it out. All right, let's go to lightning 3 next. Now lightning 3 steps it up quite a few notches. This is more your trend. Okay, this is a 4 range chart, since we use 4 range charts, and it's a 15 swing strength. Okay, which means it's got to literally have a preponderance of about 15 bars heading one way or the other. But we have an algorithm also built into it, so we know when it passes the no return, can't go back stage. So it'll draw the lightning before you get to those 15 swing strength, which is pretty nice because you can get some of these numbers in time to actually get your trade set up for that next trade. Okay, so lightning 3 is the control key. Lightning 1 is alt, lightning 2 is shift, lightning 3 is control, and lightning 4, that even steps it up another several notches, because we use a 12 range chart value, 12 range bar, with a 5 swing strength. So in other words, 12 range bar, 5 swing strength. So it's got to really get going. Okay, so that indicator is right here. This is lightning 4 right here. Okay, that's pretty good swings, letting you know what the overall trend is. All right, now let me draw lightning 3 on the chart, and we'll take lightning 4 off. Let me just take lightning 4 off. To take lightning 4 off, you simply hold your backspace down and left click, and it goes away. Okay, now your lightning 3 is your control key, remember? So you hold your control key down on your keyboard and left click. All right, and when you left click, let's see if we'll go on to another one right here so I can left click. There we go. All right, so there's a left click. Now this is telling us we have a high here, lower high, lower low. So right now, if you draw a line on your chart until it takes out this low here, and it did over here, but notice that your high is still intact. So this is telling you that this is pretty much still a downtrend. This high is even intact right here. See it? So you're really, pretty much heading down on this chart by just simply diagnosing it. Now, after this, we actually have a chart that will show you the colors and things like that. So we'll know what direction without diagnosing it so heavily like we're doing now. Okay. Now, this is lightning 3. Let me get rid of lightning 3. You just simply hold your control key down, left click your mouse, and it'll go away. Okay. Now, one of the most important ones that I use a lot is lightning 2. Okay, because lightning 1 can get a little bit too busy as far as that goes. But lightning 2, let's just draw it from down here. Okay, this is a swing. You just have to pick a swing and then hold the shift key down and left click your mouse. Okay, and so far that's where we are right there. Okay, that's where we are on the chart. So now if I look at this, I say, okay, I've got a low over here to the left that's at 91. So what would you do there? You'd simply draw your line at 91. Okay, Now we're going to look at our chart and see if we can get in another retrace type trade, but right now we're trying to figure out where we're going to get this next trade, if it breaks or if it breaks the other way, okay? So what you want to do is you want to get those highs as you get these newer lows. You know, here's a low, there's a high, a little higher low, a little lower high. So basically this is kind of a high between this area here and here. Okay, see them right there. Let me change the color of this so that you can see it a little bit better. I keep forgetting about navy on black. It doesn't work that well. We'll just set it as our default. I thought I set that as my default. Bear with me a second. Yeah. All right, so I'll just go over them. It's no big deal. All right, so now that you've diagnosed your chart, okay, you know for a fact you're just in a range right now because you just drew your two lines. I learned this a long time ago, and this really will help your trading, because I see this as either a thrust, break up and kiss and take off, or a thrust, kiss and roll. And in your own mind, you want to literally teach yourself this, because if this breaks above here, we are going to be looking for a long trade, okay? Now, in the meantime, we're sideways. We could short the top and buy the bottom, but we're talking about more lightning swings, how to really recognize what this is going to do, okay? The other thing that it would do would break here, and this looks more likely to me because you're in a downtrend, okay? So let's change the color of this to red or magenta or something that'll show up on black. Let's see, red's good enough. Save as default. All right, and we'll click OK. Now, if this does this right here, then we expect this to actually head down, okay? Now, if you don't want to trade the sideways action, on every chart you ever trade, you can do this. Every single chart you ever trade, you can do this. You can either trade the range or you can wait for the break, okay? Or wait for the break, because they're going to do it. I mean, it's just inevitable with four range charts. We don't get that long of time that they don't do it. Now, if you went to like a 15-minute chart, maybe it'll take a little longer, but we use four range charts, so we're already diagnosing this chart of what it should do, okay? Now, when you use your lightning, notice that it's already drawn a little swing here. You got a low right down here at 91. So what do you think if they probably break 91 that they'll probably do? Anybody? Well, you could actually get ready, and we do this all the time in the room. Since we're here, we can't go back another area and short it here because it's already been there. So if we were to try to short this, for instance, it'd have to break this, okay? Now you might get 10 ticks on a breakout trade, but you got to be careful with them too, okay? But I do like that first little break, wait for a good kiss, and then a roll. And I want to teach you something else too. I talk a lot more in the room nowadays about Fibonacci's. If you get these short little bursts, you're going to want at least that 50 to 61% pullback, 61.8. If you get these large moves, you're looking at 38. And I say that all the time in the room, but I can show you chart after chart after chart that works, okay? And also show you that if you do happen to get in a trade and it goes the wrong way, just like we teach, get out quick. You don't have to think this is breaking down and then hold it to way up here. You can't do that. Why'd you pick 83.39 versus 34.31? Well, let's see here. Well, 34 and 39 and 43 are highs, right across here. I mean, we're looking at Lightning 2. So if you look at a little bit larger, like the Lightning 4 to give an example, you're pretty much looking at 39 and 34. Okay. Now this is actually Lightning 3, so you can also look at it. Okay. But if this is going to break up, it would have to break 34 or 31 at least, take out 34 in the process, come back and kiss and take off. Okay. This here, it's got 91 and 93. So that's a little higher low, and that's even a little higher low here. So right now you're kind of in a wedge. And that's another reason we built the wedge trader too. So you can actually take some of these trades because it's actually drawing a little wedge, kind of like, see if I can draw it. Maybe can draw it, maybe not. Yeah. So you have to take that out a little bit further to get that, because you got to get all of the highs and lows. That's pretty much it. So see if it breaks that wedge, you could also take it short. I mean, you know, because you are getting lower highs and higher lows. So, but keeping in mind that you've got support down at 91. So you might not want to do that because that's only like 8 ticks. Okay. Let's see, Craig, I had a problem this morning with live region boxes and those that aren't live. Okay. I'll go over some of that. Give me a few minutes, Craig, and we'll actually fire up Object Trader, and I'll show you some of this with regions and everything. Okay. What I want to teach a little bit right now though is how to really recognize lightning. Okay. And we can clearly see I diagnosed it the moment I got into the room, and you haven't taken out this high or this low. So pretty much this is your, for lack of better terms, your yellow bus. That's pretty much right there at 91 to 43 is where your high and your low is. Okay. So let's look at the actual chart. And let's look at this one first. Okay. Now this chart kind of tells me, okay, look at this. We've been heading down. We even got session lows, which the red midband, that means session lows. But now we're sideways, misty rose color. Okay. So, but that's still telling me that we're in a downtrend. This is the exact same chart we were just looking at. Okay. So now let's go to our regular chart. And there's our regular chart. Okay. Now, we got up at 6 o'clock. So what are you going to do at 6 a.m. in the morning? What do you think you should do on this chart? Anybody? Don't look at yours. Don't cheat. Don't look at your chart. Now, could it break and never come back and give you any kind of a trade? Unfortunately, that happens. But usually, as a rule, they're going to break and then give you some kind of a retrace. Okay. For instance, let's say that, well, you could box in a short at mid-band. Of course, you would already been short up here, so you can't do it now. But we could go ahead and try for a mid-band trade. You want to see what it does? Now, I don't personally like this kind of background, this kind of mid-band, unless I'd already gotten into it and shorted it earlier or something like that, like with that trend line break or something like that. This trend line break right through there might have gotten you 10 ticks. But I don't personally like this. If you're going to get on a consistent basis, you know, where you're not chasing a trade, then you really want this mid-band to either stair step up or stair step down. Okay, because that sideways stuff is what'll eat your lunch unless you get on the right side of the trade. Okay, but remember, we drew a big old yellow bus on it. Remember, it went from 91 to 43. Okay, so could you be shorting these tops? Yeah, it's a green background. You could be shorting this one, it's a green background still. Okay, but the overall trend is still down. Okay, but I'm here to tell you that you'll actually do better on your trading if you didn't already get like the phantom. See that phantom background right there? But we weren't up at 542. We didn't get this trade. So we didn't get another phantom. Now I don't take two phantoms in a row to begin with because it didn't take out the top. It's got to take out the top for a phantom to be another phantom. Everybody sees what I mean there, right? You can always absolutely wait for it to break. Now, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and box in a short at, since we're here at like 93, 91 area, and just see if we could get something like 10 ticks or something like that. That is doable, because keep in mind, we can't go back here because it's already happened. I mean, you can look at a chart after the fact and say, okay, wow, I could have shorted here on a little deeper than Phantom, but it got a lower high. Okay. But we're here when we got up. We're at 6 a.m. in the morning. So we've got to make up our mind what we want to do. Okay. So you could actually just do an insert and take a chance if they happen to break this that they'll go down here and maybe even lower. You could always do that. Okay. That's a little on the iffy side because your support's so close. See, when support's that close, I don't like this particular trade simply because what if they just barely touch it and break up? And that happens all the time. But if they do this little deal here that we drew right here or here, we can take it. It's already been sideways a while, so you got to be careful. You know, this was your perfect trade right here when it thrusted down, retraced, and you got your first Phantom. Okay, and this little trade here when you got your Phantom long, because you can see it on your chart. Let me put them side by side. And it's kind of hard to, but you can see it. So you got your first Phantom right there, first Phantom after a trend change. And then after that, you didn't ratchet down very much, but you did get another Phantom here. So there's 10 ticks. And then you got this color background. So you're looking for that kind of Phantom long because that's the right color background. So other than that, we didn't get any of that. So we're kind of looking like, what is this really going to do? So I don't think I would box this right here. I don't care if it even works, simply because the support is right here. This is support on that chart right there. Okay, so what if you just boxed it right here and then it's got to break it and then you got to make sure that it stays broke? Okay, you could do that. But keep in mind that, again, that's a breakout trade. If you want to be safer on the trade, then do just exactly like this little chart is showing you here and wait for the break, wait for the pullback. Now, keep in mind, it could break like this and pull back all the way, you know, like let's say, for instance, it broke and it pulled back all the way to that previous swing. It could easily do that. See? So you're waiting for a rollover, in other words, is what you're doing. Okay? Breakout trades are okay. Don't let them go against you if they, you know, like for instance, we took a breakout trade on gold today and it went like 5 ticks. You know, and then after that, they had just checked the low and they went on up a little bit after that. But it doesn't matter if you get in a trade that will take a little bit of your money sometime simply because you don't give them very much of it. If you got up and you saw this background right here on this chart, would you load the boat? No. No, I would probably, I don't know why that's showing. I just saw it just barely bring that in. Hopefully I'm not behind on my voice. Everybody see that? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the, yeah, that striped shirt. Absolutely. Jim said it right. If you got a striped shirt, you remember Garth Brooks years ago, he used to promote those Mo Better shirts? Mo Better. They were pretty much striped shirts or plaid and stuff like that. But anyway, that's what we used to call this years ago. We called it Mo Better. It was definitely doing the old striped shirt because we change little lightning swings so quickly that you can get that striped shirt effect, but that's not what you want. Okay. After a good move down, see that red background, beautiful red background? That's a good trade. Okay. Then it did the Phantom. That's a good trade. When it starts going sideways like this and you start going from trend to trend, strictly go for the Phantoms and the Phantom and the Phantom. The reason for that is because when it's sideways, they're going deeper. Okay. Sideways, Jim says, is also coffee or donut time. Absolutely. Okay. Everybody remember that because if you will, you're going to find that you're going to get into some really, really good trades. I wouldn't be going long on this. I'd be only going short. Now, I'm a little bit more gutsy, so I probably would go ahead and do this little break if it was first thing in the morning. But I'm not going to let it go against me hardly at all. Okay. So if this was to break to the downside, since we got lower highs and lower lows and everything, and it also broke our, uh, what we said was our wedge. It broke that too over here. So you could box this, but this is a very, very risky trade because you got support at 93. Now, when I look at this, I see, okay, I see 2 to 91 to 93. Okay, that's 91 to 93. That's 2 ticks. So more than likely they'll at least get down to 90. Let's see, 91, 93, 90, 02. So that's, let's see. Yeah, that's kind of hard to, here we got our little box. Let's see if we get anything. And keep in mind that you can put your stop as tight as you want. The moment this trade actually fires, we're going to put our stop literally right there. But did you know you can do that with our box? If that fires, I can actually put my stop at the box by just simply turning it on with the same number of contracts in the short, pardon me, in the long direction, which would mean it would scale me out. Okay. Now we're going to go over here. Hopefully, if I get enough time, I want to show some of the features that we've added. Has anybody ever had the region fire without this being turned on? I have never had that happen, but I had somebody mentioned earlier in the email that they did, because I've never had it, not even once. People are saying, okay. Because if this is not, I mean, if this is off here, then this should never fire, because when you turn that off right there, that's disabled on that trade. It can't fire, at least it's not supposed to. Okay, when that's turned on, and let's say you've got it set at touch plus, then that should fire. And that was on here, Craig, on your question. If the SE is on, yeah, it can fire, because anytime these are on, it can fire. Okay, because these are your long enabled, short enabled, and reverse enabled. Okay, so yeah, it can definitely fire then. But if this is turned off, these are even turned on, it doesn't matter, because this is your firing mechanism right here. Okay, so all we got to do is turn that on. Now I get up this time quite a bit, so notice that you couldn't have gotten in up here. So this is a risky trade, right? But what's the rule if you get in the trade? You got to put a tight stop on it. Okay, so if this does fire, I'm going to put a tight stop on it. And the moment that stop kicks in, I'm going to put it at, there it is right there. Could you then put your stop right there? Move this down out of the way or whatever. If you only got one contract, you don't have any choice but to try to get some ticks, right? Okay. If you had two in, let's say that I had two in instead, then I can move one out of the way or whatever, and then just try to get a little scalp. And it'll tell you how much the, see where my target says 9? I'm just trying to shoot for 9 ticks. Okay. And if this bar closes down, I could go ahead and put my stop literally tighter than that, which would be right there, which would be like exit on close. And so far I've got about 180 bucks. See how that can work? You can do that, but always just be careful, because what we deal with each and every day, that's a good trade, by the way. Now I'd probably kill it. See how that's coming back against you? Well, it's too late now. If that kisses right there and rolls, we'll be okay. But normally if I see it thrust down and then start retracing, I'll get out of the trade. Because you'll find if you don't, you'll just give it all back to them. And we've only got one left, so we're going to just leave it. We'll leave it at that swing right there. See your lightning? Always look at your lightning. See there? That's your lightning swing. I got it set at exit on close. Now I can put it right here at exit on close instead, because that's identified. See how it closed below the little swing? So then you're pretty okay on the trade. Pretty good way to trade, actually. Okay, and keep tightening. For instance, if you wanted just 300 bucks, you know, just watch your little bar, and if it happens to take out that swing right there to the left, even, you could get out of that trade. Who cares if it goes down to 44? Maybe I just want 300 bucks. Always protect the coin. See how that's going to take that out? Now that's an exit on close bar, so it had to take it out, and I only got 170 on the trade. Okay, but you can do that, or you could trust Lightning and go ahead and stick with the trade. Okay, and that would have taken me out anyway because they just thrust it down, retrace. They did take out the low. If you get a lower high, they'll probably head it down again. See there, they did lower high. We're not back in it. Now what we got to wait for is, we looked at our chart, they broke. See how they're breaking? Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Here's your Lightning 2. Low, high, lower low, not a higher high just yet. See it right there? See there how that holds? And then you could even draw Lightning 1 if it does any different, that is, which a lot of times it won't. There's Lightning 1, that's a 1 swing strength instead. So you got a little swing right there. Could you actually take the trade off the table if it takes that out? There you go, you just took it out. See there? You could be flat on that trade. Now, when this does this, takes you out, hadn't taken out Lightning 2, but you got out at Lightning 1. Okay? What's the first thing you're going to do when you see this start to retrace at all? If it takes out this swing, I'm going to draw my Fibonacci. But you could already start drawing it even right now. Okay? Like, this is a high, low. We don't know yet, but let's just draw our fib. Sorry about that being a little bit hard to see. I think you can see it though. Okay, so if this does retrace at all, if it takes out this swing, then we're already marking on our chart where we think this trade will go. Okay, now we don't know if it's going to take this out yet, but this auto fib is beautiful. I've had so many compliments on this thing that it'll flat give you the idea of where to get back in the trade. This little thrust like this, I wouldn't be looking for a dime less than 50% or 61. And the reason for that is because it's just not a big enough thrust. Okay, let's get rid of this line. We don't need it. All right, now if this is not the new Fibonacci, then it could head down and the fibs will draw it again. Let's look at the actual chart real quick. All right, let's draw our fib. You can see it a lot better on this one. All right, there's our Fibonacci. You can see it's taken out the swing. See, low, high, lower, low. There's your left side, low, high, lower, low. So if it takes this out, they're retracing. Everybody see that? Now, with this small of a move, don't fall for this junk of 38% rollovers. Okay? The reason for that is because you're going to find that you're going to get bit more than you're going to make money. Remember this morning when I showed one and it went more to the fib that I called rather than the first one? Well, with this small of a thrust, I don't like that trade. Okay, even though that's a mid-band and it's stair-stepping, I don't like a 38% on that small of a move. Now, I will look for this trade here, the 50. See where my line's at? Right there. And I'll look for the 61. Okay, that trade I'll take. So when I draw in the room, for instance, I'll draw this like this. We want this trade if it gets into this little sweet spot. Okay, now we only like a rollover, so we're going to wait for that rollover to happen. Let's see, when you have a minute, can you also please show the auto midband and auto phantom trade? Yeah, I can show that. You want to just turn on like, well, since I like this trade, that's going to be more than a midband trade, so let's turn on phantom instead. All you would need to do would be to turn that on and turn that on. That's short enabled. Now, like I say, when you check fibs, if you get a little burst like this on oil, then you're looking for at least in this box. So don't just fall for the mid-band trader to fire this trade, because that's a riskier trade. Now, if you've got the fortitude to hold that trade to where we've got the stop at, then go ahead and turn them both on. That would fire if that bar closes down. As a matter of fact, it would have already fired. Okay. But notice that it's not even at a retracement yet. 38%. Big deal. Now, could you, if this decided to go ahead and roll over, could you box it to give an example like we teach? You could do that also. Like right under here, for instance, if it was to break. When a little, now that's your mid-band trade. See it, see how it just, and it automatically puts your stop right there. Okay. Now notice this one's going higher. It checked a 38, and I told you it checked a 50. I said it before it ever happened. There's your 61, and your phantom will fire if this goes down, and I'm not going to let that take me out except exit on close. And if this fires, you'll get another trade on the phantom. Oh, I had it on mid-band only. Let's turn it on phantom. See if we can get a phantom trade here. Phantom, you didn't fire, did you? Well, I'll just add one then, you little turkey, since you didn't fire. All right, so your stop is right here, right now. Now, see, we felt a little grief on that mid-band trade, though. Notice that? Now, let me show you another little trick that you want to use on this. This showed you right where to get in, the 50 to 61. Now, where's your target on this? Anybody? Well, look to the left and trade the right, and you'll see it. Thrust, retrace. Let's see if it'll get this one. That was your low. That's your high. Here'd be your other low. And your Fibonacci extension is saying down here at 8240, and your box is saying 8224. Okay, so somewhere in this little sweet spot, they're going to bounce this thing. Okay, so you can fade it. Okay, thrust, retrace, thrust. That's more than likely where it's heading. Now, if you watch your little swings like we teach on Lightning, where's the identified swing on this chart? Anybody? Well, don't leave your stop way up here when you're up $800. Bring it down to the swing that's identified. See it? Low, high, lower, low. Now lower, high, and lower, low. So could you put your stop there? If it takes it out again, could you put it with Lightning? Because Lightning's pretty important. See your swing? And if it takes us out, I don't care, because that's already a pretty decent trade, right? But your Lightning is the most important indicator in your arsenal of weapons. If that takes that out, that's a new identified lower high. Not yet. This is still it right here. If it takes it out, put your stop right there. See, because what you're doing is you're looking at Lightning. Let me show you on the, we're not even going to care where this goes. Well, there we're going to get a target, it looks like. There you go. Now, where would your stop be? Lightning. Bring it on down. Where'd we say? Got one contract left. And there you just got your target on your box. Good enough. Okay. So now, what do we as traders do? Okay, we're out of the trade. We've got to diagnose our chart. Okay, so get rid of everything else. Let's look at let's just pretend you just got up. Okay, we've got to look at our chart, and we've got to figure out where's our next trade. Now you're out. I don't care if it drops more. Now I'm going to look at my Fibonacci's for a retrace. Okay, so this is your fib right now, right where it's at. So right off the bat, that's a pretty good drop, by the way. That's almost 100 ticks, about 80. So that particular trade, I'll look for 38, 50. There's 38 right there. and there's 50 right there. Now, usually as a rule, you're going to be looking more at the 38 on that big of a move and very possibly a first time in after trend change. Okay, so let's see if we get that. All right, let's draw our fibs again on this one. Let's see, yeah, we'll move all drawing objects. We'll get rid of the fib. We'll draw it again. And there's our Fibonacci. So mid-band trade right there and a 50% right there. 23.6, I hate that one with a passion, but sometimes you got to draw it, especially if it's near a mid-band. Okay, so what could you do in a case like this? Anybody? Turn on your mid-band trader. Mid-band short and see if you can get a mid-band trade. Okay, but keep in mind that you're still going to get in at good fib levels. Don't let it just fake you like right. Well, it won't fire anyway. It's got to get up in this little sweet spot. So we're expecting it to at least hit 23.6, which I hate. Mid-band, which I don't like because it's not even above the 23.6 very far. I like the 38.6. It's not necessarily going to get there though because they're taking it down pretty hard. Okay, so you could turn on mid-band and just don't jump in a bunch of contracts. Okay, now let me see, is the mid-band phantom selection the one that will do either mid-band or phantom? Yes. Now, what I would recommend with that one though, Jim, would simply be that you're going to want to get in a trade with possibly micros instead, because I don't like to fire a mid-band and have this thing go all the way up to phantom with full contracts. I'll let it do it with micros in a heartbeat because I know where it should hit its head. For instance, this big of a move, they're not going above 50. You can just tell. Yeah, and it can keep you out of the heat that way. But for instance, if this goes up and hits a mid-band trade and fires for us, we'll see if it will, then we're going to put a pretty tight stop on it to begin with. And it's got to hit at least the fib, at least that fib. There's the fib right there. There's your trade. Okay. Now let's see if it'll get 8 ticks. Now, would you put your stop tight? Absolutely. Right there, I'd only be willing to lose, what is that? Well, that's 9 ticks actually, because it fired that pretty quick. There's your 8 ticks. You got it. Okay. Now, look at your chart. Are you going to go another mid-band trade by the way I teach? Now, keep in mind, if you do, you want to go ahead and fire the trade, put the stop nice and tight, like right there, because if this is going to really truly give us like down to this bottom, then you don't want it to take out the little box that it just made. See that? Well, sorry about that. Let's draw a box. Hopefully I can. I've got it kind of convoluted here. No, let me just move this out of the way for a minute so I can draw that. This is your little box right here. That's your little that you want to stay out of. Now you got to give it a little wiggle room so you can trust the top of the box. So simply put your stop just above the box, okay, and put it on exit on close. That won't wick you out, okay. And let's see if we can get another 8 ticks by any chance. Now that's 12. There you go. You just got the bottom again. Now, would you take another mid-band trade without taking out those lows? I don't think so. So what would we look for? Anybody? Well, let's go for a mid-band trade, but it's got to do, it checked our 23.6. So what do you think it's going to check next? Anybody? Well, the way they do this stuff is amazing. You can see it time after time, day after day. Do they always work? No, we got caught on gold this morning a little bit, but there's a 38% retracement, and I would wait for it to touch it if it does. Now that's a mid-band, but I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is because it didn't take out the low, not very much. See if we can get a higher mid-band at all. It checked 23.6. Now we're going to try to check 38. or it'll take it on down and then we'll get it again. But I'm not taking this trade until it at least kisses close to that 38. Now, if it's above midband like this and you want to go ahead and turn this on, you certainly can. Okay, but you got to be careful because these midbands can fake you. And I just missed that one. Let's see if we can get one. Got to at least check my fib, you little turkey. That's close enough. I'll go ahead and turn it on. If it actually comes up there and rolls, or if it rolls into midband again, it will fire it. Okay, the reason we did that, high over here, low here, we need a lower high. So they really don't want to take that out. So they're probably not going to do the 38. We haven't gotten fired yet though. Now, if this closes inside this little band, it will fire the trade. Should. There it is. Wow, that was kind of fast. Oh well, we'll see if we can get 8 ticks. Put our stop nice and tight, just above midband, just in case. We're literally not going to lose that much at all. And there's another trade. Okay, when it's sideways like this, what are you doing? You're scalping it. Because when we did this first trade right here, it did not take out this low at first. See it right there? And it bounced a little bit, then it took it out. So that made a legitimate midband, but I didn't like it. Why? Because it had already checked 23.6. I kind of expected it to go a little higher. Let's turn on Phantom. That might be a Phantom trade. See if we get a Phantom. There's a Phantom. Put a stop nice and tight. That's going to take us out. That's all right. I could tell it was because it bounced off that midband. Everybody see now what are we doing now? What do you think? Well, you're starting to get that striped shirt effect again, okay? But is it still a downtrend? And what is this retracement real quick? Let's see. We draw on our charts. What is this? Ooh, that's a 50. I would probably box that and short it because see what it's doing? You got a 50% retrace. So if you want to sell that right up there, do it and do it. Well, see, it's got a rose-colored midband, so let's try it. We're going to put our stop just above the 50, and we're going to try to get down to the low. And let's, we're not going to get a Phantom type trade, so we're going to have to do like a box trade or something like that, or simply turn on bar close if you wanted to add one. 50% is a good trade on that kind of a move. So you're in 2, right? You're in 2. And all we care about is it gets down to that low right there. Now it's going with a sideways midband now. What are we going to do? Anybody? We got to wait for a thrust and a pullback or a breakout, right? So if you got up and you didn't get this trade, where's another trade on this chart if they decide to break? Right across there. That's if they decide to break it. So could you have the little trader set up there just in case with a region? You could. But you're going to have to be careful simply because if it does break and comes back, then you're going to have to be cautious of the trade. I would pretty much rather myself just do some scalping in here. And we may have lost on this one because I didn't take profit. Well, I got it. It's good enough. Still one short. Where's my target on that one? Did you lose my target there? It's not supposed to do that. He fixed that today. Doggone it. I think it's because it did it quickly and it went through it. See if this holds. Now, with this green background, could you go ahead and set up for a Phantom? Because you go green, you usually go to this color here. So you could actually do this, say, go for one Phantom. Well, we already missed it. I'm not going to take that. It bounced right there. I would have taken it there. Too quick. See that Phantom trade? I'd call that in a heartbeat in the room. Okay? So This is really the way you trade this. And keeping in mind that when you trade this way every single day and watch for those pullbacks and watch for those mid-band trades, I want to show you a trade that I called in the room this morning and why, okay? Let's just go ahead and fast forward this a little bit. And then I'm going to show you the new features on OT. Little double bottom. What do you think on this? Let's see what this Fibonacci is real quick. Let's just see what it is. So that's a 38% right there. All right. It's trying to roll at mid-band, but this is right near the open. So we weren't open just yet. I'm going to fast forward this to when I opened the room because I opened it at 7:47, I think, today. There's 7:46. There's 7:48. Okay, now, what kind of a trade are we looking for? Anybody? Pretty obvious. When I opened the room, what kind of a trade were we looking for? So let's diagnose our chart and see if we could nail it like I did this morning. Let's do our auto fib. Okay, you've had about a 73 all the way to 22. So that's 50 ticks. What's the rule of thumb on 50 ticks? Well, we want at least the 23. We'll draw that. And we want the 38 right there. Okay. So this little sweet spot right here is where I'd be looking for a trade. Now, I don't remember if it got there or not. Let's see if it did. Close enough. Look at that. That's the trade I called in the room too, right there. That was a nice little monster also. Okay. So if you really train yourself to see these, you know, in real time and watch for these pullbacks and everything, and try to get the trade so you can get these nice monster little moves and everything. Or if you get a nice trade like I called in the room first off when we opened the room, this one here, if I remember right, and this one here for sure, where did that trade go? Well, when you draw your fib, you got your pullback right up in this area right here is where I'd be shooting for. Let's see if it did it. See there? Came close enough. Everybody remember that? That's really literally all you got to do. And this trade right here was kind of a pain in the tail end because it never gave us a mid-band trade. It broke support. It didn't kiss mid-band and roll. Okay. Let's see. So, Craig, on your question from earlier, did you figured it out on that? Phantom would not have fired anyway. Wrong color mid-band. No, the mid-band. Let me look at the rules real quick. What are the rules? Conditions for a mid-band trade. Let's see here. The rules on a phantom long are current candle closes up, check. Close a current candle greater than or equal to line 1, check. Low of current candle is less than or equal to line 2, check. Back color just has to be the yellow opacity. So it would have fired. It has nothing to do with the mid-band. It looks strictly at the background and that condition right there. And on the short, it's just the opposite of that. So in a case like that, that would have fired there for 10 ticks, there for 10 ticks, there a big runner way back before I opened the room. And let's see here what we got. This is a big move. Thrust retrace. That looks like about a 61 to me right there. Actually, let's see if it is, just for the fun of it. Yeah, that's 61, a little bit lower than 61 actually. Right there. Now, do you change trends at that point yet? No, you're still looking for mid-band and phantom. You want to see if it got one? I don't remember if it did or not, but let's just take a shot at the fib going this way now. And we're going to look for mid-band. I don't like 23.6, so we're going to skip that one. I like 38. All right, and I like 50. So there's my little sweet spots for the trade. I don't like 23.6. If it rolls, you could try to take it and get to the bottom, but keep in mind that those will usually just be short-lived, maybe 7-8 ticks. Let's see what it actually did. I drew on my chart. I don't drink, I just got the hiccups for some reason. Still heading down. Look at that fib automatically. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? 38%. Would you short that trade? Put your stop nice and tight just in case. Yeah, and even turn on Phantom to add possibly another one. Could you do that? Absolutely. And keep in mind, as you look to the left to trade the right, if you've only got a couple of contracts, always look at your swings. And, you know, for instance, if it hits here, that would be one target that you could put in. And keep in mind that if this does go ahead and do the Phantom rollover, we could very possibly take that trade again. Now, it won't give a Phantom now because it's got to be at line 6. And that turned out to be a good little trade. I'd probably take the coin right about down here. Put a stop nice and tight. And it took us out. No big deal. Okay? That turned out to be a very decent trade. Now, where would this thing, if it decided to go the other direction, where do you think it would do it? I want to teach you one other thing to watch for, because I remember this from this morning. You had a low here, a high here. Okay? So if you draw a big yellow bus on this right here, like so, what does it take to change trends? It just has to take that out. And then you watch for what? A retrace. Okay? Let's see if it did that. Just curious. And then I'm going to show you some of these features and then we'll wrap. I'll do this about 100 times just so we can see if it does. There's max right there. See there? It's breaking it. There's your, what fib was that, by the way? Let's look at it and see if it's falling into what I'm saying here. There's your low, there's your high. That's fib. We said if there's small thrust, you're looking for 61. So let's see if it was. Almost on the money. Little thrust, look for the 50 to 61, mostly 61. Okay, big thrust like this, what are you looking for? Anybody? You're looking for the pullback more into like a 38, and you're looking for what? Mid-band trades, right? So if you missed this trade, you'd simply turn on the mid-band trader because it is definitely stair-stepping now. And if you were up nicely, I would turn on mid-band and Phantom like so and let it have some wiggle room, because now you got to look at your fib the other direction. Oh, I didn't draw that one. That was not with the tool. Here we go. So let's see here. Thrust retrace. I'd like a 38%. And I'd like a 50. Nope, 50 would take out Phantom, so 50's off the table. See, if it takes out Phantom, it's changing colors. So we're not going to look at 50. We're looking strictly for this one, right? So we're looking for a 38% retracement. You could actually turn on mid-band trader, put it on auto. By the way, this is a new feature we've added to Object Trader. I want to show this to you. We'll go into the feature mode real quick. See this quantity 1 max quantity? If I want to make sure that this, even in auto, will not fire more than 2 contracts, all I got to do now is change this little deal here, and it will never fire more than 2 max. So if I want to take a chance on this, if I'm up 23, I can go ahead and do that and have my stop where we always put our stop. Let's see if it works. That's a 38%. See, that got into a mid-band. I'm going to move this out of the way. That's a decent little trade, by the way. It got into just one so far. Double topping a little bit. Still stair stepping up. I'm going to put my stop nice and tight. Well, it hit our target, so we're good. See how easy that was? We only got one. Oh, now it turned it on again. See, if you leave it on auto, it'll turn it on again. Now he's working on, by the way, you notice it went in 8. He doesn't have this exactly where it needs to be yet, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. Notice that went into 8, and I had it set at 2. Okay, so he's working on that. Believe me, we're not ready to release this yet. I'm going to go ahead and kill it. But let me show you what we're working on. It's pretty cool. I'll get rid of lightning, and we'll turn this down a little bit so it'll slow down. All right, what we're working on, this to actually make sure that you never fill more than this. So obviously that's not working as of yet. But when I talked to him this afternoon, we shared screens, we knew that already. But when it does work, it's going to simply make sure that if you say if you set this for like 4 and you were even on micros or whatever, it won't fire over 4. Now this isn't tagged to the scripts yet because you saw that it went to 8, which it remembered that first amount that I put in. Okay, so matter of fact, that's a mid-band trade. You want it just for the fun of it? Let's try it. See, there's 4 right there though. All right, you'd have to be pretty cautious on that trade. All right, I put my stop just under the swing just to see if it'll work. Okay, but let me show you some of the features on it real quick. Show you what it's really going to be capable of doing. It's pretty cool. Let's see if we can get positive on that trade first though. High, low, higher, high. I'll put my stop right there now. So I'm risking, well, it's risking 12 ticks. Let's take 2 off if we get like $100 unrealized. You going to give it to us or not, crude? It says not on your life. Still pulling back a little bit. See if we can get it. Yeah, there we go. It's a higher low too, by the way. Take some off right there. And you can take off anytime you want. You know, if you want to just take 2 off, you can do it before it ever hits the target. And there it hit the target. Okay, let me show you this new feature too. This is going to be really cool because I have really, a lot of times if I trade like crude oil and then I decide to go to micros, I want to be able to quickly do this. 10. That way I can get in 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, whatever, and then get that nice move without risking a lot once I'm up nicely. Or even on your first trade, if you don't trust the market, try it with micros first. So that feature is going to be totally working here in about another couple of days, just as soon as he gets it. But this is another cool one right here too. Right click, put a buy market in. Notice that it actually has a little box on it now. Okay, we can click that box and put in the amount of contracts that we want, like Chart Trader. And that's not as gussied up and pretty yet like we want it, but it'll be there. Okay, and the way it will be tagged to is your max amount. So in other words, you could never go above the max amount of 10, but see right now it's not coded to it yet. But it will look at this and only give you the X amount that you really want. Okay, and you're able to do this on the fly. If I just wanted 2, you know, I'll be able to actually just go in here, right click and go with 2 and be ready to go. Or if I said, you know what, maybe I want 4 of micros, then I'd be able to do this, change that to 4, and then click this. And then that would be going for 4. But right now it's not, because it's not coded to the max and everything. So those are some things that we've done. Okay. And I think you'll like them, because I already like it, simply because if you put those orders sitting at those 38s and those 50s and those 61s, they do pretty well. And you don't have to wait for something to kind of bounce quickly in your face. You can actually have the trade sitting there waiting for you. Okay, so that's coming very shortly. He said about $800 from now. So he's figuring he's got about 10 more hours in it. And I kind of figure he does too. And he's been reasonable to me, and he does what he says he's going to do. Okay, so our new programmer has really been working on this. I want to show you something else too. Predictor was a big drain on Object Trader indicators. Now, if you go to NinjaTrader, go to New Output, and right click and go to Utilization Monitor. Okay, you'll notice that Lightning is the biggest draw on our scripts. NinjaTrader itself, their candlestick is close behind. See that candlestick? That's NinjaTrader's. Now the swings, this is also NinjaTrader's, because all I did on this, people wanted the swings from Ninja 7, so we just simply changed the name of it so that it would be in our package, so you'd be able to load a template real easily. But that's their indicator right there. Now this is Object Trader right here, and it's on the low side. See, because Lightning's already up at 673 instances. Okay, so what he did is he actually took our predictor right here, and if you look at a chart right now with predictors on it, it's only calculating these predictors that you can see. If you go back on the chart or squeeze it like that, for instance, then it's looking at everything on this chart. If you squeeze it up more, it's looking at all of them like this right here. Okay, so that cut down on any of the usage of your memory to be strong, for some of the people that have even lesser featured computers, because when you get this much graphics on a chart, that's a lot of memory, because we're graphics hogs, because we want to be able to see these trades in real time, and we do it with bar colors, we do it with background colors, we do it with mid-band colors and things like that. So he's also in the process of totally optimizing everything. Okay, so that's also going to be part of it. Okay, so that's some of the changes coming along, the max that you'll be able to do on the fly, the little right-click trades that you'll be able to do on your chart, and even to control the quantities of them. Okay, so I think you'll like it, and I hope to have it more than likely. Hopefully he doesn't work on it all this week. I should have a copy of everything working by Wednesday, and then I'll be checking it out, and we'll definitely get it to everybody the moment everything works. We're a ways from it right this moment, because he's got it all written, but now he's got to tag it to the max contracts. He's got to tag it. Here's even another thing right now. If you do this little box, see, that should also move with it. So he's working on that also. So this just literally is in the work. See how that'll put your order with your broker and everything, but this will move with it by tomorrow more than likely, because he just finished this box. Okay, and then you have to do this also to get rid of it, which you won't have to do once we get it completed. So I think everybody will like it, because you're going to have chart trader capabilities on Object Trader, which is going to be pretty cool, because when I draw those lines on the chart, just have an order sitting there ready to roll, and then you can have a tighter stop. Okay, so we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for coming. And by the way, we got a really nice copy of last Thursday's trading room, and I think everybody should watch it, because an entire 2 hours was spent drawing on charts and calling trades out. Okay, now will I miss on a couple here and there, or 2 in the morning? Possibly so, because the one thing that you got to watch is for these trend changes. See, right now you got a high, a low, a lower high, just barely. Okay, you look to the left to trade the right, your other swing's way down here. So you're not going to want to obviously, short this yet, right? This is 8:56 in the morning, and more than likely it's probably going to head up again. But what do? You draw your fibs and you see where it's going. Get rid of the fibs here, put them on again, and see where it's going. You got a 50% right down here right there at line 2, and you got a 38%, which I don't like. That's too small of a move for that. So you got a 38% right there, and you got a 61 deeper into Phantom. I don't like that one as much, simply because usually they bounce off of line 1. So we'll skip that one also. This is probably your sweet spot right there. And you got to look at your charts to see. Just real quick and then I'll wrap. See where that goes. Well, that one actually broke support, so no trade there at all. That's okay. It broke support, you could be short on it too, because I drew the line on the chart. If it breaks that, you're short. Okay, so let's do this tomorrow morning and keep an eye on the new changes because they'll be coming along. All right, thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and pray for Mr. Charles to be back in the room, obviously, because we want that as soon as possible also. So is that recording on the site that you said it was Thursday? It will be first thing in the morning, Andrew, on your question. We'll get that done. Oh, the chart's been frozen for how long? For about the last 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Let me see here. Well, let me go over it real quick and then we'll wrap it instead. All right, let's look at this. Did y'all see the little right click trades where you right click and you set them up? This GoToWebinar can freeze, you know, it's weird. Okay, let me show you a little bit about it and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so what we've added is these little right click trades. Now they're not perfected yet. A good 5 minutes, I'll go over it then, Tom. We'll fix it. And I can even edit the video so it'll be where we just start here. Won't be a big deal. All right, so what we've added is the capability of getting into a trade with a right click type of, you saw that, but you can also click on this and you'll have a little box come up so you can tell it how many contracts you want. Okay, which will be pretty cool because, and you'll be able to control it by the max number that's over here on the right. So basically what we've done here is just made it to where, let's say you want to trade micros and you're willing to get in one full contract of oil. That way you can go ahead and just jump in little stages. You know, like if it goes to a mid band, don't let it go above line 7, but let it add trades as it goes up there and rolls over. Okay. Kenneth says Lilu has 85% off on 25K and $50,000 accounts today and tomorrow. Did anybody also notice that Apex is changing their payout? You have to go through a company called deal.com. Yeah, there's no more payouts on Apex unless you do all that, and it's a pain. I set mine up this afternoon. You got to send in your driver's license, a picture while you're, you know, basically so they can do all the biometrics and all that. I thought at first it was a scam until I heard, you know, the Apex guy, John, I think his name is, actually talking about it. Then I trusted it. But at first I thought it was, you know, yeah, give me all your information and I'll empty your bank account. But it's a legit deal. Okay. So anyway, we're adding these type of trades like this. Okay. So you're going to be able to do right click limits, markets, market if touched, stop market buys, the whole 9 yards by just simply right clicking on your chart. And then you can delete them as quick as you put them on, but they'll show in your control center that they're actually activated. And believe me, it'll fire them just in the order that you do them too. Pretty cool. So we lost about, oh, when I talked about predictor, let me show that real quick too then. And I'll just cut out that section that was, you know, no voice because I leaned against the silly button again. I guess I'm gonna have to quit leaning when I get toward the end of a webinar. All right, let me show you the little tool that you can tell about predictor. You've got an output tool on NinjaTrader. If you right click and go to utilization, these are the scripts that are actually running at the particular time. Okay, and notice that NinjaTrader actually has the candlestick. Now what our goal is to get everything under their candlestick, even in fast markets. Because frankly, if NinjaTrader itself can't get the candlesticks less than, you know, most of our stuff, then obviously they could lock up charts, not us. because we're just going to make sure that this indicator goes down here instead of above candlestick. Lightning is a little bit of a hog right now. It's not a major hog. This used to be a hog, and on yours it is still a hog, but we fixed this. So predictor no longer looks all the way back 3 days or 5 days or 10 days or whatever you set up. It strictly looks at the chart. It's only looking, as I move the chart, it's only looking at the graphics on these predictors that are alive. Okay, if you moved it like this, it'd only be looking at those. Okay, so that'll make a big difference in the utilization process there. Let me turn it back on. These always start from scratch, but our ultimate goal is to get everything underneath candlestick, because that's NinjaTrader's particular script. That's not ours. Okay, so if we can get lightning underneath candlestick and underneath even these swings, because this is also a NinjaTrader's indicator too, even though we named it Object Trader, that was just strictly so you could have these swings on your chart. Okay, because some people asked for that, so I put it on there. But see predictor way down here now, it shouldn't load your computer at all. Okay, so the update will take care of that on its own. We don't need to try and make adjustments. No, everything's going to be updated. I mean, your scripts are working great right now, but the changes that I'm doing to Object Trader is simply because these are some things that we've been asked, and also I wanted myself to. You got to be able to jump into a trade like with a fib or something and go ahead and have the order sitting there. So that's why I added that. Okay, everyone. So I'll look at the webinar, I'll see when it paused, and then I'll cut that section out. Okay, and then I'll post it. So it'll be in the morning sometime. And again, I was saying, pray for Charles. I don't know the situation, frankly. I would think even his wife would let me know if there's anything serious, but nobody has. I sent him a text clear back at 12:36 in the afternoon. So I have not heard from him since then at all. So I would think his wife would actually see that, but maybe not. He might be asleep. He may be in the hospital, or he may be doing some kind of tests and just not caring about my text. I don't know. He's not been the best in the world at getting back with people, but he's a great guy. Love him to death. But as far as being on time like me, not as much. But that's not, so much bragging. It's just the way I just do things. But pray for him, because him being off work this long is kind of concerning to me, because he only worked 1 day in 2 weeks and a day now so far. So, something's going on. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry I ran it 20 minutes late, but I'll cut out about 15 minutes of it by simply editing it out. Thanks again, everyone. See you in the morning. We'll trade this. And keep in mind that even with today's trades, you could have done quite well, because some of these trades that were called, this trade was for sure called at the open. Remember when it busted up right here and then came down and kissed, didn't quite get to mid-band? Did we care? You can take it. Okay. And this other trade, you could have quit for the day anyway. That was a $1,000 trade with 2 contracts. All right. We'll see you in the morning. Thanks again.